Does the Trump administration have a credibility problem in the court of law? Well, this morning, several cases around the country are pointing exactly to that. A federal judge in Chicago says a top Border Patrol agent was lying Thursday when he said he was hit in the head with a rock before deploying tear gas on protesters. Judge Sarah Ellis called the government's portrayal of Chicago untrue, finding the evidence presented by that agent simply not credible. In another embarrassment for Trump's DOJ this week, a man who threw a Subway sandwich at an officer in Washington has been found not guilty of the only misdemeanor assault charge that he was charged with. And prosecutors were initially seeking a felony charge for that man, and they failed to secure an indictment. Lastly, a magistrate judge is slamming prosecutors in James Comey's trial for their handling of evidence, accusing Trump's handpicked attorney and prosecutor of taking an indict first and investigate second approach. There's a lot in the courts happening, and I will say Trump is winning in some cases, but on the question of can the government's word be trusted, that's being called into question many times. And I'm actually flabbergasted by this, because let me play for you what Gregory Bovino, he's the Border Patrol agent that has been sent over to Chicago. This is the exchange where he is asked about the use of force, and particularly his use of force, and here's what he says.
You said on October 30 that from what you have seen, all of the uses of force by yourself and the men under your command have been more than exemplary, your words. You still stand by that?
Yes.
So when you tackled Scott Blackburn, as shown in the video marked for identification as Exhibit 8, that use of force on your part was more than exemplary?
Objective Farm Lacks Foundation.
As we talked earlier, that was not a reportable use of force.
Not a use of force.
Placed him in under arrest. I didn't tackle him. I placed him under arrest.
Gotcha.
The judge looked at that and said, that's a lie. There's a video. You clearly tackled him. I think it is really ballsy, frankly, to go to a court and then straight up lie like that.
Okay, so
what is happening?
You know what I do with my day job, right? When I'm not playing a lawyer on TV.
Yes.
Of course, I couldn't agree with you more. That's what I do all day long. Is I cross-examine law enforcement officers, and I try to say that they're either exaggerating or blowing things out of proportion, and that my client is not guilty. So this is like nothing new. I mean, this is being, look, I bleed blue because I need them to protect us. But law enforcement officers lying in a court of law is not exactly something that's unique and new under Trump. I mean, it's been going on forever and ever and ever.
About something that's on video?
Well, now they're on video.
This is the issue, right? Like, we see
Derek Chauvin went to trial, right? The whole thing was on video, and that's his constitutional right to contradict what we saw on video. So, but I mean, look, Trump's Department of Justice going to trial and someone being found not guilty. Luckily, under my law firm, over the last 5 presidents, Department of Justice have gone to trial and they've been found not guilty by lawyers in my office. So that's not so unique. But I will say there have been some arguments by the Trump administration in the Supreme Court of the United States and in other courts of appeals that have strained credulity. Is that the right word?
Yes, it is.
But the flip side of the coin is that often is what makes new law. I mean, that's often what makes people think.
But it can also be just, it's just
you're lying.
Nobody believes this. Because also, again, when you're talking about things, not just legal theories, but like actual events that have occurred. And actual evidence. There was a case of an incident in which, I don't want to say Border Patrol, but immigration officials arrested a woman who they drove into. And everybody watched the incident and said, you drove into her, and then they dragged her out of the car and arrested her. And then dropped the charges later. These are the things that are happening.
And part of this challenge is there are people who feel empowered and emboldened to just make bald-faced lies, and then there's people like this young man who was the security guard at a farm where there were undocumented workers on the farm, and he's like, here's my passport, let me just get it for you, I'm a U.S. citizen, and they didn't care. Just dragged him out, brought him in, put him into custody. He was detained for 2 or 3 days. So those of us who have to now prove that we are legitimately U.S. citizens don't feel that confidence that the American justice system is going to be treating all of us equally.
So on a lighter note, the sandwich guy.
I was going to say.
love
We got to
him.
talk about the
He's
sandwich
free.
guy because he is free. This was the testimony from the Border Patrol agent. You could smell the onions and mustard, he recalled. He said the sandwich exploded on him. He could feel it through his ballistic vest. And to which a jury said, not guilty. I mean, they tried to charge this guy with a felony. They raided his home, essentially, in this sort of like major operation, only to charge him with throwing a sandwich?
We're in a twilight zone. This is the same world that we live in where we don't have enough money. I want to go back to what we've already talked about to feed the 42 million Americans, but we have enough money to bring somebody to court over a sandwich. Like, this sounds insane to me that this is even a conversation. You look on social media, you see it. Every 5 seconds, you see someone doing something illegal under the name or under a guise of authority, and they feel as if they're empowered to do so. You just said, it's been going on for a long time. I don't know. I agree with you. No one's disagreeing. I am saying, look, I come from the world of sports. No one's ever fouled, ever. Like, every guy's like, I didn't do it. That was him. I didn't do it. Yeah, you do it. But, like, I understand. But the world that we live in today, I'm watching in real time, and people are out here doing whatever they want to, taking law into their own hands, because if they feel as if they can, and it starts from the top, they feel as if
I've asked this a number of times, but I will continue to ask it because I think every time these videos come out, and it's every single day, and also, you know, the DHS spokesperson keeps making false statements in trying to diminish the effect of these videos. How much longer will they be able to keep this up? Because there is going to be backlash. There already is some backlash to some of this.
Yeah, first of all, with the sandwich incident, I think it's a crime for two reasons. First of all, you shouldn't really be
Come on,
throwing at a cop.
TW.
But secondly, I'd like to
Come on,
keep one.
TW.
But secondly, here's the
You know,
thing.
they said it was thrown at point blank range.
the
Dangerous sandwich.
danger.
Look, I don't think you never should be screwing around with a law enforcement officer, but I understand the tensions of the issue, whatever. The point I'm trying to make is, with any great sort of change or some big effort being undertaken, there comes a great deal of responsibility. And so I support the men and women of ICE, but they have to hold the mantle of responsibility and hold themselves to a higher level. Because at some point, like you said, there will be negative backlash. There already is. It's also a PR campaign to keep your deportation popular. When I was on the show, after Trump got elected, we saw polling in favor of mass deportation. Now that number has flipped. Why? Because of the way things have been carried out. So I think there needs to be changes to the process to ensure that we're doing the right thing by the American people, we're carrying out the will, and we're following the law.
With power comes a lot of responsibility. I think you're totally right about that. And I don't know. I feel like this administration is just sort of flaunting that as if it doesn't matter, but it really does.